welcome to the first in a series of shows called Law Talk. My name is John Celebrezze, and I'm the co-founder of the Celebrezze Zanghi Community Legal Education Project, or what we call CZ-CLEP for short. Our organization provides continuing education about the judiciary and legislature to attorneys, judges, government officials, and the general public. As a career educator, I realized early on how legal matters impact all of our lives. I am the nephew of Anthony J. Celebrezze, who was the popular 5-term mayor of Cleveland, who later served in President Kennedy's cabinet. As a tribute to his lifetime commitment to the legal process, we dedicate this show.
Knowledge of the law empowers the public and makes us all better citizens. The Celebrezze Zanghi Community Legal Education Project was founded to accomplish our goal of heightening public awareness of legal issues. I am Mark Zanghi, and on behalf of John Celebrezze and the Celebrezze Zanghi Community Legal Education Project, I invite you to participate in educating the citizens of Ohio to help better understand the legal process.
Our guest today is no stranger to Wadsworth, Judge James Kimbler. Judge Kimbler is Medina County's longest-serving judge, having taken office in 1986 when he became judge of the Wadsworth Municipal Court. In 1996, he was elected as judge of the Medina Common Pleas Court, where he continues to preside. Welcome, Judge Kimbler.
Thank you, John.
Judge, today we want to talk about a topic we're hearing a lot about in the news, and that's foreclosures. We hear that it's a very serious problem, but kind of focusing on it from a local level, I think our viewers would like to know, is the problem is bad, or is it getting worse here in Medina County? Judge, can you tell us just what a foreclosure action is?
John, a foreclosure action is when someone who has an interest in real estate brings an action in the common pleas court to have the judge or the court order the real estate sold to satisfy the interest they have in the property. The typical example that people are probably familiar with is when a bank, which has given a homeowner a loan, decides in the form of and has secured that loan by a mortgage, decides to foreclose on the mortgage. What they do is they file a lawsuit in our court and they name anybody who has interest in the property. So that would include the defendant who owes the money, the homeowner. It would include the treasurer of the county who's got interest in taxes. Sure. It would include perhaps people who had given supplies and services to build the house who may never got paid. Now, on the one hand, foreclosure actions are very important to the banking system of the United States because people who loan money on real estate want to get that money paid back.
I see.
And how they do that is that they're encouraged to make loans because they know that if they secure the loan by a mortgage on the real estate, they can sell the real estate in order to satisfy the loan. And the flip side of that, so to speak, is that this allows people who probably could not afford to buy a house to buy a house. It also guarantees the bank that the people living in the house are going to have an interest in making sure the loan gets paid. So foreclosure actions are actions that are brought to sell the property to satisfy a debt. Now, we often think, or we usually think, about foreclosure actions being brought by banking institutions like savings and loan and mortgage companies. But the treasurer of the county can also bring a foreclosure action. And what the treasurer of the county can do is bring a foreclosure action to satisfy back taxes. So, for example, let's say a person owned a house and for some reason stopped paying the real estate tax. There will come a time in the future when the treasurer of the county would come to court, ask us to order that property be sold in order to satisfy the taxes.
I see.
But the common foreclosure action that we're seeing right now in Medina County is a foreclosure action that is brought by a financial institution who has made a loan to a person who has used that loan to buy real estate and now can't make the loan payments.
I see, Judge. Probably this is very interesting, particularly from, I guess, a layperson's perspective, because court foreclosure, sometimes you don't get the connection, but somebody's getting sued here, right?
That's right. That's right. Usually it's the complaint will read, for example, ABC Savings and Loan versus John Smith, Nancy Smith, who are the owners of the property who signed the promissory note to buy the property and took the loan from the bank, the treasurer of the county, sometimes a second mortgage holder. I'll say there's a second mortgage on the property. That person will be named. Anybody who has an interest in the property has to be named as a defendant in a foreclosure action.
I see. Well, that's really interesting because, albeit they say we're the most litigious nation in the world, the average person really, at least it's my personal opinion, doesn't get sued and really doesn't know what to do. And here something as common as all as making our mortgage payments could put us in court. How do you bring about a foreclosure action, Judge?
Well, what the person would do who would bring the foreclosure action is that they would go probably to a lawyer, have the lawyer prepare the complaint, file the complaint in the Medina County Common Police Court, and along with that, they also have to file what's called a judicial title report. And what that tells the court is that lists all the people who have interest in the property, so that we know when we look at that as judges and court personnel that everybody who has an interest in the property has been named as a party, and that those people will be protected when we sell the property.
I see.
Now, it has to remember a couple of things here. First of all, the fact that the foreclosure action is brought on a property doesn't necessarily mean that that property is going to be sold at a sheriff's sale. Because oftentimes what will happen is that once the foreclosure action is pending, and even indeed once there's been a judgment issued in favor of the financial institution, oftentimes what happens is the people who owe the money will make refinancing arrangements.
Sure, sure.
The bank will make an arrangement with them to refinance the property, and they'll withdraw the property from the sheriff's sale. But if that doesn't happen, the final result of a foreclosure action is going to be a judgment, an order, decree, and foreclosure. And what we're going to do is we're going to sell the property at a sheriff's sale. And the sheriff sells the property, I think, on every Friday morning at an auction. It's they got to go for at least, I think it's 66% of the value of the property as the sheriff has appraised it. So if the property is valued at $100,000, the sheriff could sell it for $66,000 and above.
I see.
But once the property is sold, then what happens is the proceeds are paid into the court, and the clerk of courts distributes the money, or the sheriff distributes the money. So the money will go first to the clerk of court for her fees and the court costs. Then it will go to the sheriff for his fees in doing the sale. Then it will go to the treasurer for any back taxes, and then it will go mortgages and liens in the order that they were filed in the Medina County Recorder's Office. Now, this is one reason why banks do not want properties to go in foreclosure, because they're not going to get at the sheriff's sale the price that that property may be worth. It may be valued, you used the hypothetical I used a little while ago, it may be valued at $100,000, but the sheriff can sell it, I believe, for $66,000 and above. So he may sell it for $68,000, $69,000 at an auction, and that's it. That's all they're going to get from that property. It does not mean that the person who signed the note, however, is off the hook, because they can still pursue a monetary judgment against the person who signed the promissory note. But what it does mean is that the property has been sold and there's now no longer a mortgage on that property.
I see. Judge, it must be quite a shock to the person that this happens to. And I guess a question I'd ask you is, well then, what do you do? I mean, you're a person that falls into this situation. What's the first thing you should do?
Well, the first thing, here's what a lot of people are doing that they shouldn't do. If they want to maintain the property, if they want to keep the house, they should not ignore the lawsuit.
Okay.
Too many people are making the mistake of assuming that they're embarrassed to go see lawyers. They don't know what to do. They are hesitant to admit that they cannot make this obligation, and too many of them are ignoring the lawsuit. And that's the worst thing they can do, John.